guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you are new. My name is Heather. I'm a homeschooling mom of 3 kids, elementary and high school age. Today we are going to be doing a homeschool update, so let's get into it. Okay guys, so this is my first homeschool update of the second semester. If you did not see my update before we started the second semester, I will leave that linked in the description box. It has been interesting. It has really been quite the crazy 6-week period. If you've watched any of my recent videos, you will know that we were all sick. I was incredibly sick. We started strong on January 6th, back to our second semester after our nice long winter break. And for the 6th, 7th, and 8th, we did a really good job. And then on the 9th, Lucy woke up and was not feeling great, and that kind of just snowballed from there. And my kids were all sick for probably about a week and a half or 2 weeks. And then right at the tail end of them starting to feel better, I got really sick and was just pretty much had zero energy and couldn't do too much with homeschool. Thankfully, my kids are pretty much able to just go through their work at this point in the year. They kind of know what they need to do. Of course, I was available for help if they needed it, but honestly, I really just laid on the couch and read while they were working on their stuff. I was not doing any read alouds or anything like that. Lucy was mainly just focusing on her language arts and her reading and math. We weren't doing the history lap book that she has been working on over this year. So it was a little bit less work for Lucy, but Jack and Emma were doing the majority of the stuff that they needed to do. Even when they were really, really sick, it was mostly over weekends, so we didn't lose too much ground that way. And then once everybody started to feel better and I was able to talk again because I had no voice at all for like a week, I was able to catch us up, especially with the government, economics, and personal finance. Those 3 courses are the biggest portion of our homeschool, it seems like, this year. And so I was kind of going double time. I dropped quite a bit of stuff just so that we could continue to move forward and kind of catch up from where I hadn't been working with them earlier in our term. So overall, I am feeling good about things. I was able to kind of go through all of the lessons that we have for Jack, and he will be finished with his Japanese book in the next couple of weeks, I think. Probably right at the beginning of March. It was a shorter book. Book 2, year 2 was a little bit shorter than year 1. And I'm kind of undecided if I'm going to have him immediately move into book 3 or year 3, or if I'm going to give him a break. Foreign language is one of those things where it's good to continue to do a little bit of practice. And so perhaps he will finish up year 2, but continue to work through Duolingo until we start our next year, which is in July. So it's interesting, and he'll also be finished with geometry in the middle of March as well. He will have finished all of his lessons. The reason that we are finished with some subjects early is because we start early. Because we start in July, it makes sense that he would be finishing up some of his subjects in March. And because we do kind of a rolling start or a slow start, some of the subjects will take longer. And so I think that if things continue to progress the way that I'm hoping, we should be done with the bulk of our work by the end of April, which I think will be really good. I know that I've gone back and forth talking about Emma and this being her last homeschool year, and it's really interesting because we have been talking about whether or not we want to continue to enroll her as a homeschooler, because she does have access to dual enrollment classes through the college, through the University of Maine, and that is a good deal. She hasn't done any of those college courses because she just hasn't had the desire to. Most of them are online classes, and she prefers to do either in person or she just prefers to do in-person or book learning. She doesn't like that online component. Whereas Jack is better at the online stuff, and he enjoys that kind of work. And then this past week, we actually saw that they're changing the dual enrollment program in Maine so that you only can have a total of 18 credits you're capped at 18 credits. You can still take more credits, but you just have to pay for them. Whereas the way that it has been in the past is that you get 12 credits a year that you can take for free through dual enrollment. And so Emma would still qualify for some of those dual enrollment classes, and it wouldn't affect her as much as Jack. But that was kind of disappointing to hear that. So now I'm kind of thinking, maybe it's not going to make that much of a difference to have the dual enrollment, and maybe she will just be graduated and take a year, like a gap year, until she decides what she wants to do for college next year. So we'll see. We're still undecided. We are going to sit down, I hope, at some point and just kind of discuss all of the options. She does still have all of those options available to her. Some of them are really dependent on her graduating this year, and some there's less need for her to be graduated in 2025. So watch for that. I'm hoping to sit down with her and kind of just have a conversation and share that with you guys. We will see. But overall, I think things are going really well. Emma finished up Frankenstein. She read Emma. She read Paradise Lost. She is working through Wuthering Heights right now. And she's also reading Lord of the Rings for the first time. We've never read the books. We've seen the movies. And we had tried reading those books in the past, but it's just a lot. And I love fantasy books, but it's a lot of world building and like a completely different language and everything. But she is part of this YDubs community, this Young Writers Workshop community, and everybody raves about Lord of the Rings. So she started reading it and just kind of wants to see what the big deal is. I mean, she's watched the movies and she likes them okay. She's not a real big action person. She does love fantasy, but she said, I'm not as much on the high fantasy as I am on the low fantasy. But she's been reading a lot. She's working on a big compare and contrast paper, comparing Pride and Prejudice to the book, to the adaptations that they have done. And she's focusing a lot of time on writing her novel and editing her novel. So that has been a big portion of her days. She is still working through consumer math from Not Consumed and really enjoys that course. I think that there's so much information in that course. It was new this year and I wasn't sure how much work would be involved. When I was going through it, I wasn't sure there was a lot involved in the workbook, but it actually takes a significant amount of time. She's created budgets, she's looking for apartments, she's trying to see how much people in different careers get paid. She's done a lot with investments and bank accounts and installment payments on purchases and just all kinds of stuff. There's been a lot of essays, there's been a lot of conversation with me. So I really recommend that program if you're looking for a consumer math program for your high school student. We also have the Life of Fred consumer math that we're kind of going through as well. And statistics has kind of fallen off. I am hoping to catch up, but she has been so focused on her writing over the past couple of months that I have not had enough time to really get into statistics again. And part of that was because I could not sit and do it with her, and she does need my help because Life of Fred is really, it's very engaging, but you need somebody to kind of guide you through the course. It's not something that is easily understood by a student that's brand new to statistics. So my hope is still to finish that this year. We'll probably start picking it up again after this break week that we're having. But, you know, everything was kind of crazy with me being sick, and we were just trying to make sure that we were hitting all of the core subjects and some of the extra subjects. Even though statistics technically counts as a core subject, it wasn't as necessary for me because I know that we could probably catch up and it's not going to be that big of a deal because it's a shorter course. It's not the entire statistics book from Life of Fred. That is like a college level course. It's only the first 5 chapters. And so we're about like halfway through it. So I'm not concerned about catching up. Let's see, what else? Jack has not been reading nearly as much lately. He read all of the books that we got him for Christmas during the first 6-week period, and I have not given him a new book. I think that the next book that he will be reading is Fahrenheit 451 or 451. Yes, and that is behind me. That is part of the government economics and personal finance course. And I think that I have a Brave Writer guide that goes with that. So we will be starting that once we start back to homeschool. But overall, he's doing a great job. He's been working a lot on animation with his animated series, even though he finished the digital music production course in the fall. It's a half credit course. He has been playing the piano and teaching himself a lot of piano music, and he has started doing original music for his animated series that he's been doing on YouTube. So it's been a lot of fun to see him put together music and do that digital music with the skills that he learned during the first semester. It's been really exciting for me. I will leave a couple of links. He did put out like a soundtrack of original music that the first original music that he did for the animated series, and I will leave that animated series linked as well. I think they have 6 episodes out right now. They have been releasing 1 episode a month. It's really fun. I enjoy seeing how much he is enjoying the process, as well as the amount of learning and work involved putting together the animated characters and doing rigs and really understanding Blender and then putting it all together, editing it all together in Premiere Pro, recording lines, all of that sound engineering stuff. It's really interesting to me. I know nothing about it. I know how to edit videos, but I'm not all of the animation and everything. It's crazy how much he has done. So that has been a lot of fun to watch, and he has had a big focus on that. During our winter break, he worked primarily on that as his passion project. And then over this past week, he's been working on that a lot, because on our break weeks, it's a passion project focus week for my kids. For Lucy, it's more of just a break week, but for my older two, they do have a larger focus on their passion projects, and it works well for us. And then, so finally we have Lucy, and she is doing great with all of her school. We're caught up with math. We're on track with language arts to finish, in the next couple of months. I think, again, we should be done right about the end of April for all of Lucy's school. Jack and Emma will have some more government economics and personal finance that I think will go into the middle of May. But that is because we started that later. When we started our year, we didn't start with government economics and personal finance. We started with math and English and foreign language and computer science for Jack. So I think we will be going a little bit further for government economics and personal finance. But Lucy is right on track to finish up at the end of April, and she has had a lot of growth this year. It's been really fun to see how much growth she has had, both in math and in her writing and her creativity with her writing. She has a lot of fun when she does the little creative writing assignments from Sunlight Language Arts 4. So that has been really fun. Now, I did set up my brainstorm lists in my teacher planner for 2025-2026. And it's very strange because next year I really only need to plan for Jack and Lucy. I am unsure, well, I've already said this, I'm unsure what Emma's going to be doing, if I'm going to have her do anything specific, but I'm mainly only focused on Jack and Lucy next year, and then just, helping Emma launch into adulthood over the next couple of years. It's a little crazy to me that it's almost time to start looking at curriculum, but I know that there are so many people that start talking about curriculum, like content, like homeschoolers, homeschool content creators are so early. Even though I would consider myself a homeschool content creator, I just cannot get behind doing homeschool curriculum in January and February. And I see so many people talking about that. I feel like we still have so much of this year left that I can't wrap my head around it. But usually towards the end of February, starting to get into March, I'm able to start brainstorming for the year ahead. So I have no idea what we're going to be doing next year. I really don't. Jack has been a little bit more untraditional in the high school than Emma was. So for instance, this year he's not doing like a physical science. He did physical science last year, but this year he's mainly doing computer science and computer science labs through coding. It's through CompuScholar. That is the program that we're using. And he wants to continue doing that. He really wants to build his own computer as part of a lab computer science course next year. And I know that I mentioned this, whether or not I would do biology with him. And I did have some people email me, as well as some comments about how how he needs biology if he's going to go to college. That's not necessarily 100% accurate. Some colleges obviously will require that, but other colleges will also accept chemistry and physics, which I do expect him to do. I don't think he'll be doing chemistry next year, although he is doing Algebra 2 next year, so it would probably be a good science for him. He just has no interest in biology, and that's not really the focus for him for when he goes to college. And what he wants to do. He is more interested in coding, and then he's more interested in creating his own video games and animation and music production and stuff like that. So I don't know. I go back and forth as to whether he should do a traditional route or if he should not. And I kind of regret doing so many traditional courses with Emma when her focus now, what she really wants to do is become an author, potentially do accounting or some sort of entrepreneurship or library science. Like, there's no reason for biology in any of those things except to be quote unquote well-rounded. And she went through biology and hated every minute of it. And that's not what I want for our homeschool. So that's kind of my update. It's a little all over the place. But it's been a good 6 weeks, even though we were still so sick. And honestly, I am just very thankful that I have so many systems in place that my homeschool kind of runs even when I am so incredibly sick. Yes, I dropped a lot of stuff for Lucy, but Jack and Emma were able to continue working through what they needed to. And then for the stuff that we were a little bit behind on with Jack and Emma, I was able to catch them up once I was feeling better. So overall, it was a trying 6-week period, but it was still successful. We were still making forward progress. And I feel like you kind of have to look at the positives. If you're able to get some of the things done, that's great. If everybody is so sick and you do nothing, that is also okay. We have not had many of those years when we are just so sick, when I am so sick that I cannot do anything. Honestly, it's not often. I think I've mentioned this in other videos that I haven't been this sick since 2020. And so I'm glad that I'm feeling better and that we are still moving forward. But if you do run into a really sick time or something happens, it's okay to take a break. It's okay to cut back on things. You can still make progress. You will catch up. So that is my update for the first 6 weeks. I can't believe we're almost done with February. January, I said in my membership community that it was like 1,364 days of January, and February was like a blip. And now we're thinking ahead to March and hoping for spring to come soon because we are buried in snow and cold here in Maine. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you're looking for more help and encouragement around homeschooling and goals and home management, I would love for you to come check out my membership community. That link is always in the description box. Thank you again, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.